There is a silence sweeping across Europe that speaks louder than any explosion. Behind the polite diplomatic smiles and the grand halls of Brussels, there is a growing panic. This fear has a name, and that name is Burkina Faso. The panic has a face, and that face belongs to Captain Ibrahim Traoré. For generations, Europe treated Africa like a game board, where they could extract resources, manipulate leaders, and maintain dominance. But something has changed. Africa is no longer playing by their rules. Burkina Faso is rising up, and the European Union is genuinely terrified. Before we dive deeper, we want to thank each and every one of our loyal subscribers here at One Africa. Your support means everything to us and helps us continue bringing you the truth that mainstream media often ignores. If you're watching for the first time, we warmly invite you to join our growing family by hitting that subscribe button. Together, we're building a community that values truth, dignity, and African sovereignty. Now let's get into why Europe is losing sleep over Burkina Faso. Europe has sent delegation after delegation to Burkina Faso, offering partnerships, security cooperation, and strategic dialogue. After all these efforts, they have come to a shocking realization. Burkina Faso simply does not want them anymore. The days of neo-colonialism are over. The era of secret backdoor deals is finished. This rejection has forced Europe to change their approach, from offering bribes to managing their image. Instead of sending weapons, they now send carefully chosen words. But underneath all their polished speeches, there is one truth they cannot hide. They have lost control of Burkina Faso's natural resources, and this reality is what truly keeps them awake at night. To understand what is really happening, forget the headlines about terrorism and instability. These are not the real reasons Europe wants Burkina Faso back. The truth is much simpler. This is about resources. Burkina Faso sits on an incredible treasure of natural wealth, including gold, zinc, manganese, rare earth metals, and uranium. For many years, European companies, particularly French ones, made enormous profits from these resources, while ordinary Burkinabe citizens remained trapped in poverty. The mines were operated with foreign equipment, protected by foreign mercenaries, and the profits were transferred to foreign bank accounts. Then Captain Ibrahim Traoré arrived. He is young, bold, and completely unapologetic about his mission to restore sovereignty. Within months, he took decisive action. He revoked foreign mining contracts, expelled exploitative companies, and said no to the International Monetary Fund, the French military presence, and European Union interference. Just like that, Europe found itself cut off from resources they had counted on for decades. This represented a catastrophic blow to their long-standing grip over West Africa. Recently, the European Commission President gave a speech that revealed their anxiety. She spoke about the Sahel region as one of the poorest yet fastest-growing areas. Notice the framing. European leaders do not speak of African nations with dignity. Instead, they speak of opportunity, whether economic or strategic. She then claimed that Russia is influencing and benefiting from the crisis. This is the classic scapegoat strategy. Europe cannot admit that its influence is declining because Africans are actively choosing sovereignty. So they blame Russia, as if African people cannot think for themselves. She said the situation is of direct concern for Europe, for their security and prosperity. There it is in plain view. Not Africa's prosperity, but Europe's prosperity. It has always been about how Africa can serve Europe, never the other way around. She talked about developing mutually beneficial partnerships, which translates to wanting back into African markets and resources under a new name. Europe does not fear military coups. What they truly fear is losing control. They fear a future where African nations set their own prices, build their own infrastructure, and defend their own interests without Western approval. Captain Traoré is not just leading a single country. He is lighting a fire across the continent. He speaks with clarity, calls out imperialism by name, openly questions institutions like the United Nations, ECOWAS, and the World Bank. and makes no apology for reclaiming Burkina Faso's wealth for its people. Under his leadership, foreign military bases are being shut down. Gold revenue is staying inside the country. Massive agricultural projects are underway. Young Burkina-Faso citizens are being trained as engineers, scientists, and protectors of their land. This was not what Europe expected. They had planned for compliant leaders who would obey orders in exchange for photo opportunities at international conferences. But Traoré changed the script, and that is why the European Union is so desperate. They can see what is coming. If Burkina Faso succeeds, other nations will follow. Mali has made similar moves. Niger has taken comparable steps. Even citizens in Ghana, Senegal, and Nigeria are asking questions they never dared ask before. Why are our resources controlled by foreign hands? Why do we still depend on the West for basic needs? This is the true fear haunting the European Union. Africa is waking up, and once awakened, it cannot be put back to sleep. We must acknowledge the double standards. The same Europe that lectures about democracy supports monarchs and dictators who sign favorable contracts. The same Europe that condemns coups has supported illegal invasions and regime changes when it suited their interests. The same Europe that preaches human rights ignores when African protesters are killed by Western-trained police. When European leaders talk about working with legitimate governments, they really mean governments they can control. Let us be clear. No African country owes loyalty to Brussels. No African child should go hungry so European corporations can hit profit targets. No African leader should bow to a system that sees the continent as nothing more than a resource mine. Europe complains when African nations turn to Russia or China, but they never ask why. Why are Africans seeking new partnerships? Why are they refusing Western military bases? Why are they rejecting loans with colonial strings? The answer is simple. For once, Africa is choosing rather than being chosen. Yes, Africa will work with Russia when it serves African interests. Africa will work with China when it makes sense. Africa will partner with Latin America, Asia, and most importantly, with itself, but always on its own terms. Europe had centuries to build genuine partnerships based on mutual respect. Instead, they built systems of dependency. Now, as Africa pivots toward independence, they cry betrayal. But Africa owes Europe nothing. The EU introduced the Global Gateway, described as more transparent and sustainable. But underneath, it is just another strategy to regain control wearing new clothes. European powers know they can no longer control African leaders with military force, so now they try with grants, smiles, and public relations. But Africans are not fooled. Let Europe make their plans and hold their summits, because Africa is no longer listening to instructions from former colonial masters. Africa is speaking with its own voice. Africa is leading with its own vision, and Burkina Faso is the spark. A nation once dismissed is now the epicenter of continental transformation. Its young, defiant leader is carving a new path not just for Burkina Faso, but for all of Africa. No speech, no summit, and no strategy can stop what is coming. The African people have risen. The chapter of exploitation is closing. A new story is being written by Africans for Africans. Let Europe hear this clearly. Burkina Faso is not coming back, and Africa is not backing down. The age of silence is over. The era of submission has died. This is the dawn of African power, and no empire can stop it. If this message resonates with you, if you believe in African sovereignty and dignity, please share this video. Subscribe to One Africa if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Together, we are building a movement for truth and justice. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay informed and stay proud.